Welcome to The Varied Life. Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tinkercad Make and Print Creality RFID Spool Drawer Storage System. Spool drawers, yeah, they're a thing. So let's jump right in. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Varied Life. I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, and today we're going to be talking about 3D printing, making some stuff with Tinkercad, but I need your help. And the very first thing that you need to do is to like and subscribe to the channel, because over here, the retired hobby tech guy, which is me, needs more subscribers and views, as you can see here, and you can help in that endeavor. So with that out of the way, let's jump into our topic, which is going to be making a Creality RFID spool drawers using Tinkercad. Yeah, this is going to be really neat. In case you didn't know, the Creality RFID spool is made out of plastic, and I thought these are just going to go in the trash. I would like to reuse these in some way, shape, or form. So I decided, hey, let's make some drawers, because when I did a search, I couldn't find any for the Creality spool. So I said, hell, let's just get onto Tinkercad and we'll make our own. So let's zip on over to Tinkercad as we have here. And I'm not going to go through the full build of how I made these things, but just to give you an idea, what we end up seeing is a number of shapes here. So basically what I ended up doing is starting with a cylinder, and I measured the dimensions of the spool. And as we can see here, we've got 195 millimeters by 195, and then it ends up being 60 millimeters. And that will fit within the confines of the spool. So yeah, that works out kind of good. And then what I ended up doing is saying, hey, well, I need to take out the center portion. So I made another cylinder, and as we can see here, that's 95 by 95, and doesn't really matter what that is as long as it's, through the top and the bottom that we see there. So that way we can have the hole. Next thing, we continued on, and what I ended up doing is when we combine this shape, like if we end up doing this and we combine this, basically we've got a donut. But we need to hollow out this center portion here of this to have those compartments. So what I ended up doing is basically copying that shape there and make it a few millimeters smaller. So you can see here it's 193 by 193, which worked out really well. Seemed doing measurements with calipers and all that stuff, a couple millimeters difference was what I needed. And what that resulted in was this over here. So we were able to do this, and basically I combined this shape and made that all into one, and we ended up with this shape here and turned it into a hole. And then all we ended up doing is dropping that down into our little model there. And as we selected everything there, and then we came out, and as you can see, boom, there we have our walls. And yeah, it worked out pretty good. I was like, it didn't take much time at all. And then I was like, well, how am I going to make the compartments? So what I ended up doing is going here, and I got a little square, and it is 60 millimeters high, and we can do the dimensions. It's 2.5 by 49.5. And yeah, that worked out pretty good. So basically what I ended up doing with this shape here is that I put it here and made sure that there was connected on both sides here. So you can end up seeing how it goes into the outer wall and into the inner wall, but we still have, a little bit of space there. So that worked out really good. And then what I ended up doing, once I was happy with that, then all I did is select that shape. I end up hitting clone or duplicate, and then I just tabbed and brought it down to here. And then I took both of those, grouped those, rotated it around, and I end up getting these, and then did the same thing like this. So it's able to split that up and to have, I had to do a little bit of adjustments on that, but basically we finished up. And then what I needed to do was to separate this. So it should be noted that if we take a look at this one here, that it's 3 millimeters instead of the 2.5. So it's a little bit thicker. So what I wanted to do is to use a hole. And what we ended up doing is taking this rectangle and making it a hole. And we split the difference of this piece here. So we went in approximately 1.5 millimeters. So that way it was directly in half. And if we ended up grouping that, we ended up with this shape here. So we had a little bit of a thicker wall on these here versus these walls here. So yeah, it turned out pretty good. I was pretty satisfied. They're 2.5 millimeters thick, but these ones are a little bit thicker. Again, they're going to end up being 3. And then what I ended up doing is doing a couple more modifications. One of the modifications was putting a little handle on there, so we have a little something to grab to open the drawers as they slide out. But then I also needed something, kind of a hinge point, so that as these drawers kind of swung around, that I needed to have a pivot point so that they opened up and remained in place. So what I ended up doing is just adding this little cylinder here, which is, I don't know, what was that? I think it ended up being like 5. Nope, it's 3.35. But again, I also made sure that it went into down into the model itself. You know, I could have taken the sides and make it smoother, but I just used the default settings. So once I got that done, and then what I ended up doing is saying, okay, that I think that'll work well. And instead of having to do this twice over, all I ended up doing was taking this, made a copy, moved it around up here, and then went up to the top to where I go up to the mirror function. And I mirrored it like so. And there I have the drawers. So I have one for the right side and another one for the left side. And again, we have our hinge points there that will pop up. I did a little bit of change on that because the first iteration, it ends up that it wasn't quite high enough. And so the drawers could pop out. Again, this is going to be a print in place. It's going to be a real simple drawer for the Creality spools. And what we ended up with as a final product is this right here. So we've got our little handles. We've got our, as you can see there, I kind of made these a little bit taller. Now it should be noted that these nubs right here, these little cylinders that come up, you're going to need to drill a 1/8 inch hole into the spool of the Creality RFID spool. So it's not a big deal. It's plastic. Use a 1/8 inch bit and you'll be good to go. So yeah, that's what it ends up doing. And then what I ended up is going over here to the top right to export it. I exported the right, exported the left, did some test prints, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what that looks like in Creality Print. Okay, so here it is. We're in Creality Print, and we're using the K2 Plus, which is a great 3D printer. I've had some real good success with it. The 350 cube build area is really nice, and we can make small items or big items. And in this case, kind of a medium size for these Creality RFID drawers. So as you can see here, we have both of those, the left and the right. Again, they're going to be printed in place. And we'll go over the settings to kind of show you what I ended up using and how they turned out. So let's continue on with that. We're going through and we're using Hyper PLA, Creality Hyper PLA, and as we can see over here, we end up that it's going to take 6 hours and 17 minutes, but if you do run it at 125%, you can get it down, you can drop about an hour off of there. Filament is 177.49 grams, which is a length of 59.51 meters, and the total cost of the filament is a grand slapping $3.55 for what I get mine. And there you can see some of the other information. But yeah, basically, as we start off with over here, we're going to have a layer height of 0.2, so using a 0.4 nozzle, pretty much stock settings. We've got everything is normal, didn't change anything. And as we go down to the walls, we're using 2 loops. That seems to be good enough. Anything more than that would be a waste of filament. And as we go down here to our sparse infill, did 10%, but I dare say you could probably go down to 5% and get away and save a little bit of filament. For the infill pattern, what I ended up using is gyroid. That's kind of my thing that I use, and everything else is the stock setting. When we get down to speed, the settings that I have are all stock with the exception of the overhang speed, which is set at 60. So we've got that right there. We get down to supports, and we're going to enable supports for the tree auto default style, threshold angle of 30, and on the build plate only. And as we can see here, those are the supports for the knobs, the little drawer knobs, so that we can open that up. Other than that, we don't have any flushing options. We set the brim type to auto, so you'll get a brim on these supports, but on nothing else. And yeah, let's go ahead and we'll send this to the printer and see how it turns out. Alrighty, our print is done. And you might see this little problem area that actually ended up being a support that accidentally came off at the base. So I had to put it on there. But anyway, this is our model. And basically, yeah, a little storage container. It's going to go around, and we've got the little nub up there. Hopefully that'll fit. And there's that one there. So let's go ahead and do a little modification of the spool and see how this works. Okay, so a little closer inspection of our drawer. And what we end up having is the nub there for the little handle. And then we have our containers. And then on the very end, what we end up having is a little post that's going to kind of be the hinge point. Everything is printed flat. So what I'll end up doing is taking our Creality RFID spool. And as we can see, a little post there is a little bit, it bumps that up. And so what we'll do is, since this is flexible, we'll just put that in there like that. Slide in the other side. And then what we'll end up doing is we'll just kind of make this and set it so it's about right where we want it. And then what we can end up doing is taking our Sharpie and we can just put a little dot on where we want to drill our hole for that post. So we get down there, and I kind of want to leave it so there's a little bit of room in between the two halves, so that way I've got enough clearance. And then the other reason is if on the opposite side I want to put magnets on there, then I can do that. And just go ahead and put a mark there. We should be good to go. And now, time to take the drill and drill our holes. Now, in case you're wondering, I made the diameter of the little post that's on here about 1/8 inch. So we shall see if this works. It's pretty easy. And there are two holes. So now we'll end up doing, I'll go ahead and I'll slide this in and lift up that as that sets in there. And now we get our little hinge. And we'll do the same with the other side. Can lift that up. And there we've got enough room that it hits up through there. And we're good to go. Okay, so there we have it. What I might end up doing, since we got a little bit of play, I think what I'll end up doing is making these posts a little bit taller, maybe by about 2 millimeters, because it's just barely clearing that hole. You can see. So I think about 2 more millimeters or so, and I think that'll give enough so that this drawer can operate back and forth without, because if you move this around, see how that can pop out kind of easy. So yeah, maybe it needs a little bit of a longer post on there. So that would be an easy fix to do. But then other than that, everything else works out pretty good. You can see there. And then the cool thing is you could probably stack this up. You could probably make like a little connector so that you could have like a stack of these. But, you know, like I said, you could end up putting like a rare earth magnet on each side so that these snap together to hold it in place. But that is I guess the first draft. This is actually the second draft. The first draft I just made for the main body itself. And this second version, I added on these and the posts. So, but yeah, a little bit of adjustment there, and I think we're good to go. Now, in case you're interested in making your own drawers for the Creality RFID spools and repurposing them for a better use, you can find these over on my page here on the Creality Cloud. It's called The Varied Life, and I've got some other models as we can see here. I've got some airbrush stands. I've got paintbrush holders, a couple of those. I made a build plate holder that could be used for the K2 Plus and other machines as well. And then also we have the Creality RFID spool holder that we see here, and that includes the 3MF file. It has all the information that you need, and yeah, I would appreciate that. So it's easy to download and print, and it can help you repurpose those Creality RFID spools. So now with that out of the way, let's get to the summary. Alrighty, here it is, our Creality spool holder. And again, what we can end up seeing is that it will rotate out, works pretty good. And I think, you know, there's a couple of things that I could do. I could put like a little latch that could flip over and hold these things together. Or what I could end up doing is putting some rare earth magnets, one on each side so that they snap and hold together. I think that would work out pretty well. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to do that next once I get some magnets in here. But this seems to be a real good way to store some parts and reuse the spools that come with your Creality RFID, the Hyper PLA series spools. And instead of just gathering dust and doing nothing and filling up landfills, we can reuse them for a more useful purpose. So with that being said, again, I really appreciate everybody coming and watching The Varied Life, and there's a couple things that you can do. Like I said, you can like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And with that, you might see this little scrolling ticker down there on the bottom. Those are people that have bought me coffee, and they really did me a solid. They're awesome. I have much respect for those people, and you can be one of them if you click the link down in the description box. Now, you can leave comments on my videos, but I've got about 225,000 views so far, so it's hard to keep up. But if you absolutely need to get in touch with me, you can email me, and I've successfully answered every single email from everyone, even the crazy people. And if you're into 3D printing and hobbies and painting, and we're all a little bit crazy, so welcome to the dysfunctional family. I will answer your emails. So yeah, that's what we got going on. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you can get into Tinkercad. I'm not really a CAD person, so I'm just kind of learning on this journey. And this little Creality storage spool holder thing is one of the things that I've made, and I think it's pretty cool. So you can leave a comment in the comment section down below. And is this cool or is it not? And if you have any suggestions to make it better, put it in the comments section because I would like to know. So with that, I've got some more stuff that I'm playing with, going to print out some other cool stuff, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.